Hey, peace world. What's good there, Tone Brown? Thanks for pressing plan another Pay Me No Mind live stream. If you see it later on, appreciate you checking in. What's good, Sheldon Holmes? Pretty good night of and I'm gonna be honest. Well, I'll get to that in a second. This is Bite Down Boxing, the weekly recap. Tons of action yesterday, man. To be honest, trying to cover everything, especially I didn't even post any articles yesterday. It was a ton of stuff to watch. I had my certain interests that I wanted to see yesterday. A lot of Ohio guys on the ESPN Plus card. I mentioned earlier in the week about the Courtenay-Bridges fight for the WBO bantamweight that was on DAZN. I was kind of cool on Conor Benn and Samuel Vargas, but there were obvious welterweight implications there. It was all Jaron Ennis. It was all Jaron Ennis for me, though, to be honest. And Stanionis and Stanionis-Dulorme. So I guess my main question, man, is like, did you enjoy the action? Sheldon Holmes just said, man, pretty good night of boxing. It was a pretty good day of boxing for me. And this is one of those days, man. I'm gonna be honest. It was against my better judgment to even get on here, because I get impatient with a lot of the. I don't know, man. I get impatient with this shit. I get impatient with how people follow the sport. I'm amazed that some people have been watching this shit as long as they have, and you still don't kind of understand the matrix of boxing. We watching Jaron Ennis and Imantas Stanionis. We just saw Virgil Ortiz against Maurice Hooker. Like, this new group of welterweights is arriving or forming, and it's people still talking about Spence and Crawford. That shit just amazes me, man. How do you sit and just ruin the sport for yourself? Like, enjoy the shit that's happening, man. Like, I just don't get this shit, man. I'm already getting out of control. I'm already getting off message. Hey, if anybody wants to call in and talk about any of this stuff, man, I'll throw the number out there. You can join in wherever you want to, get your thing going and say what you got to say, whatever. I'm gonna recap some of this stuff and I'm gonna keep it moving, because again, I'm pretty satisfied as a boxing fan of what I saw yesterday. I don't need to sit here and talk about when or Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz should fight next. I don't need to say who Jared Big Baby Anderson, what unrealistic ass heavyweight fight he should fight next. I don't have to make fun of Imantas Stanionis and say that he's not nothing. Like, I just watched some good ass boxing yesterday, man. That Showtime card was excellent to me. These guys are definitely on their bumper. Yeah, I think they're there. But yeah, I thought the Showtime card was exactly what I was hoping it was gonna be. I didn't have a lot of expectations for Ancajas, for Jerwin Ancajas and Jonathan Rodriguez, but damn, Jonathan Rodriguez was tough as hell. I mean, when they asked him in the 8th or 9th round or whatever, if you want to quit, if you're done, all the times in the 9th or 10th round, whenever he backed away, he was holding his body and stuff after body shots. What was it, like 131 to 44 body shots? Damn, that's a hell of a night. The note that Ancajas landed 131 to 41 body shots. That was 131 body shots out of 232 punches. Now, obviously, it's some great champions there at super flyweight, 115 pounds. We'll get into some of that, man. Let me talk my stuff real quick and then get out the way. I'm a little pissed off. I can't get out here and take care of this yard. My yard is wet, and by the time I get to cut this stuff later this week, I'm gonna have to bag it and all of that. So I'm frustrated by a couple of things right now. But like I said, as a boxing fan, man, I'm great with what I saw yesterday. Like I said, the Showtime card. If I put the pictures up on some of the web, I might go back. I'm gonna try to get some articles up this week, but the photos that I got from that was a tough ass night of fighting, man. I mean, Stanionis and Dulorme. I didn't expect that Dulorme to show up. I was excited about Dulorme for he gave a great account of himself, especially coming out of the Jamal James fight. Like, he disappointed me so badly against Jamal James. I thought, the door might be closing on Dulorme. But he came in there and boxed well. He gave that young man and Stanionis, he gave him a lot of stuff to work with. And Stanionis showed me some things. Showed me some things, man. We got some excellent fights in that division over the next 2 or 3 years. I'm not saying Stanionis is great, or I'm not saying where he really ranks amongst the young guard, the young lions that are forming. But I like what I saw from him. He got a hell of a chin. He got hit with some good shots. He had the box. Then he still tried to bang when he could. He was in there against a guy who he couldn't quite keep up with. It's funny in these fights when a guy can't cut the ring off, and that just becomes the narrative of the fight. He doesn't know how to cut the ring off. Maybe he just can't cut the ring off against that particular fighter. I mean, like the other dude, the other fighter who isn't being trapped, or that the ring isn't being cut off against. Like, that dude didn't just come to get the ring cut off and fight the other guy's fight. Like, he's trying to win the fight too. Maybe the other guy just can't outmaneuver the other guy to cut the ring off against that particular fighter. But I liked how he stuck with it, man. He never gave up. Stanionis is the future at 147. He needs more fights under his belt, then he will be ready for the elite. Yeah, I like his attitude, man. I say this all the time, man, and I'm gonna get into this with Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields. You go into a fight with the skill set that you have, with the training that you have, the fighter that you are. You go into the fight with that, and you got to figure it out and get a win. It's only certain fighters who all of the shit is in their favor before the first bell. It's only a handful of fighters where everything is set up for them to win. Some of these other guys got to go in here and figure shit out and fight through shit, fight through adversity, and either win or lose. We just got this mentality that we're only there to see the A side. I don't know how we got there. I really don't understand how we got there as a fan base, that I'm just here to see the A side. I'm just here to see my guy. I'm here to watch a fight. I want to see a good ass fight. And whoever wins, so be it. May the best man or woman win, so be it. We got this shit like certain people there's no expectation for people to even fight. Certain people. I was supposed to talk to Jamel Herring yesterday. Or was that? Maybe that was Friday. And my question for him is there's this expectation that he fights Shakur Stevenson because people want to see Shakur Stevenson be great. Like, we don't We don't give a damn about Jamel Herring. We don't care about his story and him. We want to see Shakur Stevenson fight. So you should be fighting him next. Regardless of whatever you think you want to do with your own career, you should fight him, and Shakur should go on to be great. That's what needs to happen. On the same token, there's no expectations for Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. to fight Jaron Ennis. We get into the shit with who Jaron Ennis brings nothing to the table. Or Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz brings nothing to the table. What's good, Jamil Allen, aka Jelly Bean 4280. So anyway, man, I'm gonna get into some of this stuff in a minute. I'm gonna talk about the cards and get on off of here. I'm gonna go enjoy my wife for the day, man. Listen to her talk about some shit that listen to her yell at me about some shit. Cause I did actually, and I did more than enough for boxing this week. Had a great interview with Damon Nicholson Friday, who fights on you like Rashidi over Stanionis? I think that's a good fight. I'd watch it. I watched that one, Jamil. Tone Brown said, I seen on BoxRec Shakur is fighting for the WBO interim title on June 12th. That's correct. I believe he's fighting against a South African or something. Yeah. But, you know, he's looking for a big fight. And honestly, I'm looking for him to have a meaningful fight, a fight against somebody who's meaningful. Another thing that never comes up is the fact that I'm pissed off that there was no Shakur Stevenson and Emmanuel Navarrete. Thought that fight should have happened. Maybe Shakur was too big for 126 at that point. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a promoter. Speaking of promoters, one thing that I wanted to get into before I speak on this DAZN, look at this DAZN card. The whole situation, I thought it was kind of ugly. I thought it was kind of tragic yesterday watching them on ESPN for like 4 or 5 hours dance around the whole thing with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua and the fight not being made. And Mark Kriegel is working the phones right now. All of that type of build up to it. I don't like how Speedy is being handled, and I think he is a tier under Boots and Virgil, but he's right there in my opinion. I agree with you, Jamil. I was telling Ohio Runs Boxing. I was exchanging some text messages with him yesterday. He is adamant that that fight needs to happen. Rashidi and Virgil Ortiz, that is. And again, man, we're not promoters. I mean, we don't call the shots. We can't make the fights. I think there's something. I don't even want to see Rashidi and Virgil Ortiz right now, to be honest with you. But what I was saying is, I think Rashidi, why hasn't he filed a lawsuit for breach of contract? Like if you're not moving me well in 2 or 3 years, why haven't you gone and tried to do so? They can't be honoring your contract if you're not getting fights and if you're not being moved properly. So for me, that's what I'm talking about when I open this, where I'm impatient about this shit. Like, there's a proper way to go about doing things and getting. I don't have to sit here and argue for Rashidi Ellis or none of these fighters. There's a proper way to go out here and do things, and I hope all of them figure it out. I hope they all have management or a manager who's on top of their job and goes out here and fights for their fighter. So yeah, I think Rashidi's being sidelined and mismanaged, mishandled, receiving less attention than what he deserves. But that brother has to go do something about that shit. I think to sit there and for him to say, because Ohio Runs Boxing was telling me that Rashidi wants that fight with Virgil Ortiz Jr. Okay, but bro, you're probably not going to get that fight. That fight doesn't really make sense for Golden Boy as a company, in my opinion. What has Rashidi done to like what does he bring to that fight to make doing bigger and things above and looking what's next for Virgil Ortiz Jr. Like, here's a dude looking at the crowd supporting Virgil Ortiz Jr. for Mo Hooker a couple of weeks ago. You can go do something bigger with Virgil Ortiz Jr. You can go push to try to get Bud Crawford for Ortiz Jr. Or you can go and try to make Errol Spence Jr. and try to push some all Texas settle showdown or something. I don't know. But I think there's a better path for Rashidi Ellis than going right to Virgil Ortiz Jr. right now. I do. Maybe he in the same boat as Bud with Pamper, Bob. Maybe they like where they're at. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I can't really waste a lot of my bandwidth trying to figure it out for these dudes. If I'm gonna get into that, then let me go to a city and try to get into boxing management and manage some fighters and get involved. But for me to sit here and waste a lot of my free time, to waste the attention that I get to boxing, to sit here and argue on the behalf of fighters who should be able to do this shit for themselves, or they should retain the services of somebody that should be able to go out here and advocate for them, protect them, maximize their earnings. That's not my job. That's not my job. I see Rashidi getting fights as a cherry pick and think fighters will try Luis Ortiz and keep him in the dark is partially his fault. Yeah. I mean, that's why I was saying split T management. Shout out to them dudes, man. They seem to be working real hard for their fighters. I know, we don't highlight a lot of boxing managers a lot of the times until like one of their fighters really gets in one of these marquee fights. But split T management, David McWhorter, I see Tim Newhouse just left split T management. But I email some of these managers and try to talk to them, and nobody give a shit about coming on and saying anything. But split T seems to go to war or go to the plate for their fighters. But really quickly, let me get into this situation with Anthony Joshua and the status of that fight. We got some breaking news coming up. We got some breaking news coming up on the status of that fight. That was kind of hilarious. We got Kriegel working the phones right now. We got Kriegel working the phones, trying to getting updates. Like it's a draft. Like it's the internet with that particular fight. Look, the fact of the matter is, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom don't have any leverage to get the number that they probably want to get. It's a huge fight under normal circumstances in a normal world in 2019. They probably this fight could have been done. They would either did it at Wembley, been done. But as it is right now, it's foolish I don't give a shit how much Middle East has and what what they can do, and they burn money or make money or whatever. What's the payoff to having that fight right now? If I'm this sultan, if I'm this king, if I'm this emperor, if I'm this ruler, if I'm whatever the hell I am, what up, though, Lukey? I gotta holler at you about something, man. But what is the major payoff that anybody will go out here and give Eddie Hearn the number that Eddie Hearn wants for that fight? Like Eddie Hearn doesn't have any moves. You can't do it in the UK because I will do, Lukey. He doesn't have any options. And you sitting here, yeah, it's a big fight, and the parties involved. You gotta pay. You gotta pay for it. You gotta get these guys the guarantee that they believe it's worth, but it's just not there right now. It was crazy yesterday. I was looking at it like, damn, I was still a little shocked that there was no fans in attendance, no level of fans for the Conor Benn Vargas fight yesterday. I was kind of taken aback that was in a crowd less or crowd free studio. That's where it is right now. So to just sit here and think that whoever he's talking about, whatever national government or federal government or whatever king or whoever he's talking to, like they don't have to do this right now. So that's where we are. Like it's not going to move forward because nobody is it's not a prerogative or a priority. I'm sorry. It's not a priority for anybody to go in their pocket to hold that fight right now. So good luck with that. Anyway, man, let me get into these fights. Just with Eddie Hearn, good partner of mine. And the whole thing about Eddie Hearn lies. He's a liar. I don't believe nothing he says. Like people act, some fans act like Eddie Hearn is specifically talking to them. Like they have they're disappointed at Eddie Hearn. Like they have a personal relationship with Eddie Hearn. What lie does Eddie Hearn tell that Elon Musk doesn't tell? This dude is selling tickets to travel to Mars and shit. Like, who out here in the front of anything running a company doesn't, aim for the moon, for lack of a better phrase? Who isn't out here overselling shit or talking about what they like to do or whatever? I don't trust the word that comes out of, I don't trust any. What the fuck do you mean you don't trust? The dude puts on fights. You either tune into the fight or you don't. I just don't understand how some people follow this sport, man. I don't. That's just me though. All right, man. Let's go over to the zone. Again, man, I didn't really care for most of these fights. The only interest, Conor Benn, is he one of the new young dudes, the young guard, the young lions at welterweight? Is he or isn't he? That was the whole thing with this. We saw Samuel Vargas take on Virgil Ortiz Jr. And whatever they're trying to do with Conor Benn, however they're trying to move him, this was a fight to let us know a little bit more, whether or not Conor Benn could really get into the mix on an international level. One thing that helped him out was after Sean Porter fought Sebastian Formella. None of us knew who the hell Formella was before that fight. He comes over and goes 10 rounds. I believe it was 10 with Porter. Conor Benn fought Sebastian Formella next. Beat him up for 10 rounds or whatever it was. Maybe they fought 12. I don't remember. But he beat him up. He couldn't get him out of there, but he looked pretty decent. He showed some growth and some maturation and whatnot, some improvement in his game as a fighter, and he got the victory. So now you go out for the next name. It's Samuel Vargas, a journeyman gatekeeper, a guy that's supposed to be there to show some warts on these guys, show some weaknesses or some concerns, raise some flags, do something. And Vargas didn't do a whole lot of anything. I haven't even watched this fight yet. I ran an errand thinking I was going to come back and watch this one today. And when I got back and saw that the fight only made it one round, I was like, damn. Whether or not it was a quick stoppage or not, it was kind of that moment where we had that he caught a big shot and had that moment where like Castillo against Corrales, his eyes rolled up, he went all back in the ropes. At a certain point, if you don't return any punches, if you don't start to defend yourself, if you don't tie a guy up, if you don't do anything to break a fighter's momentum, the referee has to do something. This isn't Conan in the pit and Conan the Barbarian. It ends at a certain point. I think Vargas, I don't know what the hell was up with him, but he didn't come in and get a whole lot done. And Ben moves forward. Who should counter Ben fight? Is he in the same tier as Speedy Rashidi, or what about putting him in there with Mean Machine or Josecito Lopez? I like the Lopez fight. All of those names are great. Mean Machine, that's a great test. I think I think the one thing that we didn't get here in that fight, with it not being any back and forth, we don't know. Did he just catch at this point, is Vargas just shot? Was he just there to get a check? We really didn't learn a whole lot more about Conor Benn in this particular fight. He acted on a guy who was standing in front of him. He saw what he was working with, and he took him apart and forced the issue to get the stoppage. And that's that. You could come out of a victory like that, jump into something, go in there against a Mean Machine, and maybe find out, I'm not quite ready for this. And maybe you got to go 10 or 12 rounds, and you got to get into plan B and plan C. You got to take some good shots. You got a guy who doesn't go down because you hit him once. So that's kind of an interesting moment for them. Like, what do you do next with him? Red Cash would probably be a better fight, to be honest. For him, I think Red Cash would be a better fight, because I think the level of risk isn't quite there, and you don't want to go too quickly. What is Ben is just 17-0. I don't think he really had that much of that extensive of an amateur career. I think Red Cash would be an excellent fight for him. I think another thing that we got to consider is the fact that Jamil, some of these names, trying to get people to come over to DAZN, trying to get fighters to get over to the zone. What is their promoter gonna, can it happen? How does that get worked out? Kavaliauskas, I would think that they can make that happen. Lopez, who knows what other plans Lopez might be for. What is he with the PBC right now? I like all of those names, but again, I think the Red Cash fight would probably be the best. A lot of these guys, man, they get a lot of these European guys, these UK guys, they get to the international level, and some of these guys get tripped up. Speaking of, we saw with the what was my man's name? Cash Farouk, bantamweight. They were talking about this Cash Farouk who took on Alexander Espinosa yesterday. Cash Farouk is not an international fighter to me, from what I saw. Eddie Hearn mentioned something about him getting the world title, getting in the world title picture at 118 pounds. Really? After that fight right there, it's a couple killers at bantamweight in the world championship picture. So I don't think that the guy that I saw yesterday is not ready for that. What else was on there? I missed the most of it. So let me jump right to kind of the surprise fight yesterday. I did not think Ebony Bridges was going to I didn't think she was really gonna live up to the wolf tickets that I thought she was selling. Like I said, I saw Ebony Bridges in person, maybe 2019. What was that, early 2020? Let me check real quick. That was February 2020. She was over here from Australia. It was a couple Australians in the building that night. Even the lady that was in the main event against Mary McGee was from Australia. But she took on Ebony took on this lady named Crystal Hoy, who was 6'10" and 4. She had to be at least 36 or 38 years old. And they fought this up at 122 pounds. She went the distance with her. I'm sitting ringside, like I'm sitting in one of the corners. I'm not hearing a whole lot of power on the shots. Again, looking at the physical condition of Hoy, I mean, she wasn't all that great of a fighter either. And I'm really not trying to be disrespectful to anybody that gets in that ring, man. But that's a problem with the women's game. Is like it's a problem here that Ebony Bridges, where she is in her career, that she could just raise her hand and say, I'll take the fight. And she's in a world championship fight. That's how bad the ranks are in a lot of these, or how thin the ranks are in a lot of these divisions for the women. That's the truth. But anyway, she gets into this fight. Courtenay, I've seen her a few times. Like I said, man, she's feisty. She just knocked out an older fighter in her last fight. This matchup got jumbled around a couple of times who it was supposed to be. And Rachel Ball was supposed to fight Bridges. Then Rachel Ball was out. Then whatever. We had the fight that we had. Shout out to them yesterday, man. They went to war. It was a better fight than I thought it was going to be. Courtenay, she moved to 7-1. She hurt Bridges a couple of times. I talked about this yesterday in my reaction video after this fight went down, so I'm not going to recap all of that. I just think it was a good fight, man. Bridges, you got to do more than just brawl. You know, you got to improve your defense a little bit. She could have used her jab a lot more. You know, while you come forward like that, you just can't get hit with everything. You know, and Courtenay, you know, a lot of women don't have one punch power. We haven't seen many of the female fighters do that. So yeah, Bridges kept coming forward. She got her eye damaged pretty badly. She got hurt there, maybe in the 7th or 8th round. And that's another thing, man. In these 2-minute rounds, it's very difficult. It's difficult to even write those fights up. When I try to write the women's fights up, especially if it's someone that's a pressure fighter like Bridges and just constantly coming forward, it's very difficult to make anything out of that. But I thought the right person won. I thought it was a good fight. It was blood, you know, it was swollen eyes and stuff. It looked brutal. I thought it was a good amount of animosity between the two camps. Like Courtenay really didn't respect Bridges as a boxer. Bridges is kind of, I don't know, man. She's a little freak showish with the fake boobs and whatnot. She talks a lot bigger than what she really is, but she came in there and fought. So shout out to her. Moving on to Savannah Marshall and Maria Lindbergh. Marshall moves to 10-0 with another knockout, 8 knockouts total now. She took her out in the 3rd round. Lindbergh, you know, she took the fight last minute. Eddie Hearn working out deals on Instagram in people's DMs and whatnot, and got Maria Lindbergh in here. You know, the height difference was noticeable. Shout out to Lindbergh, though. You never know. She's 44 years old, man. I'm 45. Hey, to take a fight on 3 days notice, 4 days notice. I think it was Tuesday when the fight fell apart for when Hermans fell out of that fight. Hey man, shout out to Maria Lindbergh. You know, going there and compete with somebody that's showing what Marshall is kind of showing with each fight. Let me see. I'm not trying to ignore y'all, man. I'm just bouncing around the different screens and whatnot. She needs more head movement and she needs to utilize a jab, like you said, and Courtenay's potential. She needs to keep improving. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, Bridges, you get another call. I don't really think a rematch is necessary. I'd rather see the rematch between Courtenay and Ball personally, and then you see what's next with Bridges. But like I said, she gave a great account of herself and can fight again. That was a much better version of her than what I saw in Indiana. I think she talked herself into that fight and had to go in there and prove herself. I thought Courtenay when she didn't accept brawling, when she just focused on her boxing, operated off the back foot and whatnot, she was landing the cleaner shots all night. And I think also what was in Courtenay's favor was the fact that she worked the jab consistently. She worked the body. She boxed. She looked like she had an educated offense, and Bridges just looked like a slugger and came forward and wasn't slipping shots like you said, Jamil. No head movement, Anyway, but getting back to Maria Lindbergh, she's a 4-time world challenger. She was 18-7-2 coming into the fight. She had 10 knockouts, but she was just overmatched. She was outclassed. Marshall looks pretty good. I mean, that jab is beautiful. She's got them long ass arms. What is she, 5'10" or something? She got a nice rhythm about her. She has a fighting style where the 2 minute issue in the women's game is not an issue for her because she fights with a pace that allows her to showcase everything that she does. You see it because she works in a good rhythm and a great pace that and then she has power. So the 2-minute thing doesn't work against her. She sets her shots up well. Like I said, she varies the jab. Sometimes it's doubled, sometimes it's tripled. Sometimes she doesn't bring it all the way back before she throws a second one. Sometimes it's with power. Sometimes it's just to touch a person. Then she's bringing the hooks to the body, the left and right hook to the body. She just seems to be very skilled and then has good power. So let's talk about the let's talk about the big thing here with Savannah. And shout out to my man Jeffrey Finn. What do you call himself? Jay Finn or Finn Griffey? I'm sorry, Finn Griffey. I like that one. She gets past Maria Lindbergh, knockout there in the third round. That first knockdown, I was shocked that Maria Lindbergh got up from that one. I think it was an overhand right, maybe. Where's my notes? Got some notes somewhere. Damn. What did I write down here? Yeah, then she throws in the feints. She doesn't give up her height. She's a pretty good boxer, man. I like the way that she's developed. Savannah versus Clarissa. Do you see that happening? Or Savannah versus Jessica, chick who beat Cecilia Brecu? Nah, man, I don't see that happening at all. And what I was just getting ready to mention was I heard that like I said, I ran to the store after that fight. I didn't even listen to the post-fight interview, but I guess Savannah Marshall called out Franchon Cruz-Dezurn, who is a super middleweight champion, maybe even unified. I don't know if she got the belt back from the WBC with all of that whole fiasco right there. But I think she is unified at this particular point in time. But I guess she says she'll go up to face Franchon Cruz-Dezurn and then see what's cracking with Clarissa. That could be just thrown out there to really tell Clarissa, I have options. I have options in the boxing game. One, because I fight in the UK where there is a genuine interest in women's boxing. Like I said, the UK was really it was really a legit buzz for Courtenay and Bridges. That fight wouldn't have meant nothing here in the United States. Nobody would have stopped and looked twice at that fight. But there's a different interest in the women's game over there. They regularly include women's bouts on their cards. I get comments from UK people when I do videos on the women, like, and it's not about non-boxing stuff. Like, they really rock with the women. So I think Savannah is in a market where she can get work and has options. She could go back and fight Femke Hermans. She probably could fight. She probably could go up and get a fight in with Franchon Cruz DAZN. It's not like Golden Boy isn't doing right by her either. So they probably could get that fight. Claressa Shields, it's a reason why she's getting ready to do this PFL fight and go into MMA. And this is what I was talking about yesterday on my reaction video. I think I saw Claressa made a comment on this dude who does covers women's boxing on Instagram, and she made a comment basically talking about, make sure that the money is right. Again, if you don't have any options, if you don't have a platform, if you don't have a network behind you, my question becomes to Claressa Shields, like, what leverage do you really have? I mean, yeah, you got to get the best number possible, but to just sit here and keep talking about money, like, Matchroom probably doesn't give a shit if you don't fight at all. Like, go be an MMA fighter. This is what I get sick of with some of the bullshit in boxing. We didn't hear no numbers from that fight. We didn't hear no numbers from that pay-per-view. Wasn't like that shit set the world on fire. It wasn't like it was a great show. I mean, shit, if I could get 12 of my $30 back, like, tear that out for me, sis. Like, that card was shit, in all honesty. So now it's, pay me. Like, when you get done throwing the temper tantrum, just like with this shit with Draymond Green and the WNBA, when you get done sitting here talking and we really sit down and look at what the numbers are, this is the best fight for you. This is the best fight for women's boxing. Sitting here and trying to talk about fighting welterweights who are really junior welterweights, you wasting your time. You wasting your time. And honestly, I said it yesterday, like, nobody really wants, there's no interest in Jessica McCaskill and Claressa Shields. Now, maybe Jessica McCaskill will come out and start doing some talking and maybe create some interest there, but I don't want to see that fight. Again, McCaskill just came up to fight. She just came up to welterweight to fight Cecilia Brækhus. She just came up from 140 pounds. I don't even recall, but I don't even think McCaskill, I don't even know if she was above 145 for that fight, to be honest. And again, McCaskill has better, it's better for her. It's better business for her to go try to get the rematch with Katie Taylor, who is undisputed at 140. And I'm sorry, I want to say McCaskill came up from 135 and just jumped over 140. I could be lying right there. I don't feel like pulling it up. But I think the truth, I think that it's just going to come down to eventually that's the best fight for Claressa Shields is Savannah Marshall. And Savannah Marshall probably has 2, maybe 3 other options if she wants to go in another route. I said yesterday, Hannah Gabriels, I believe, is going up to a former Claressa Shields opponent. Hannah Gabriels is going up to light heavyweight, from what I understand, to fight for a title. She could very easily, if Gabriels was to win that title, then conceivably Marshall could just go after a fight with her. I think she has some options. I got to check that real quick, to be honest. I don't like to just say incorrect information. I thought she skipped over 140. I'm gonna move on to this ESPN action right after this. Oh nah, she was at it was at 140. Yeah, she was at 140. My bad. Super lightweight, super. Yeah, okay, she was at 140. My bad. And I don't have a winner right now with Marshall and Claressa. I don't have a winner at the moment. I just think it's a good fight, and I think it's a great fight, and I think it's an easy sell. I think the history is there with with Marshall beating Claressa when she was 17 years old in the amateurs. I think that sells itself. So they should look to do it and try to get it done. I think a partner of mine just commented on the video from yesterday about Claressa Shields not having any power. Paulie Malignaggi didn't have no power, but he went on to win titles in a few divisions, I believe at least two, and to pick up a welterweight title. I mean, so you can go places without power. And I still think Claressa Shields hits hard enough to get the respect of opponents. But I think there are great strengths and weaknesses there for both fighters. I really can't even say there's weaknesses there for Claressa when you've won, you've won several. I know it was some vacant titles on the line and whatnot, but when you go, 3 or 4 fights and only lose a round or two, and that's really just the knockdown round against Hannah Gabriels. When you sweeping the cards in fights, I can't really say that you have weaknesses per se. Now, if you can, again, if you want to go about she doesn't have power, like I said, that's not the only way. It's a lot of fights getting won that don't end in knockout. So again, let me see the skill sets of these two individuals clash, and let's see what happens. Moving on to this ESPN card. I did not get to really put a lot of attention on the Joe Smith Jr. and Maxim Vlasov card fight. I had that on my phone while I was watching Stanionis and Dulorme on my TV, and then I was really more or less watching the Showtime card because I thought those fights were just better. Simply. So I thought Vlasov, early in the fight when I was looking over at it, Vlasov was stepping to Joe Smith. We know that Joe Smith is not the most sophisticated boxer, but Vlasov was stepping to him, making life a little miserable for him. I saw Smith had to cut over his eye early, third or fourth round or something, and he looked frustrated. Vlasov just didn't really pack a good punch. And in that situation, and late in the fight, when Carl Moretti and the DeGuardia guy were whatever the hell they were yelling at after they went to go and give Vlasov 5 minutes to recover. What was it? Punch to the back of the head or whatever. That was kind of ugly. Whatever the hell was going on with Carl Moretti, who works for Top Rank. Joe Smith, shout out to him for going out and what he throw 80 some punches or something in the 12th round. Probably feeling that it was pretty desperate for him. I'm not so sure that he won that fight. I'm gonna check it out later on today. I saw Vlasov was really disappointed after the fight, leaning over the top rope and feeling like he just got jobbed. He probably felt that way for a good reason. He probably got jobbed. As you know, Top Rank is trying to push the whole Beterbiev fight. Beterbiev versus Smith is a better. It looks better in lights than Vlasov, Beterbiev. Even though, like I said, Joe Smith probably got outboxed and probably should have just had a draw. But anyway, the big one. Let me see real quick. F.A. Ajagba. He was talking about, he had some elbow problems. I guess he had surgery. But the way that the fight ended against Brian Howard, and I miss some of it. This is why I hate when they have a Saturday. Like, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, and to have boxing all damn day yesterday. Hold on. No, I ain't got no protection.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Done.
Bring that back for me. What's going on here?
He was out before he hit the canvas. Yes, he was.
Down. That's it.
Yes.
Damn. Damn, that was ugly. That was a very popular punch combination that
that's it. Done.
It's like everyone in the world trying to play this highlight right now.
There are things that this sport produces, that this sport delivers, that is like nothing else. The sound of that knockout.
Joe Tessitore has to go overboard with everything.
Is on the short list. Pounds.
Down.
Damn, that's ugly. Damn, that's ugly. Damn, I'm gonna have to bring that back. It's playing messed up for some reason, but that's off Top Rank's Instagram page. Big Baby Anderson to me is one of the most athletic heavyweights in boxing right now, says Tone Brown. I agree, man. I agree. I'm getting ready to get to that right now. I just had to go to the Ajagba fight. I guess Ajagba and Anderson were in camp together leading up to this fight, leading up to this card. So Ajagba, excellent knockout for him. That definitely probably catapults him back into the discussion. Heavyweight is really interesting right now. I mean, we have a decent amount of American cats, or even with Ajagba, what is he, Nigerian? But I think he moved over here, I believe. It's a lot of I haven't been all that interested in the heavyweight ranks over the last 5 to 8 years. But this group that's out there right now, it's a good dozen guys that like I have on my radar and I'm paying attention to. Obviously, like Tone Brown said, it's very interesting to see to watch what's going on with the youngster. Yesterday's fight against the Carpensy kid really didn't tell us a whole lot. But I mean, the dude just fought 8 weeks ago against Kingsley eBay and looked great. He made short work of Carpensy yesterday, who really wasn't gonna be a test. But I love the jab from I love the use of the jab, just the confidence, keep the kid busy. He was 251. I want to say the last couple of fights he's been in there in the mid 240s. So for him to come in at 251, like you said, with him being the way that he's able to move and all of that, I don't want to see him get up into the mid 250s and the 260s and lose that one, his movement and, his punching combinations, looking light on his feet, looking, what we see. Don't lose all of that by going up and being one of these giant heavyweights. The 250 and up, 260 guys. Don't come in where you can't stand out any longer with the number of punches you're able to put together and the different angles and like I said, looking light on the feet and everything. Don't give all of that up, in my opinion. But Another thing, and speaking of the U.S. heavyweights, on April 22nd, Thursday night, Ring City, USA, we have the fight coming up with Michigan's, I think it's Saginaw, Jermaine Franklin against Stephen Shaw from St. Louis. That's going to be an excellent fight. Those two guys, U.S. heavyweights, they're farther along than young Anderson, but he's on their heels. And these two guys ideally probably wouldn't even want to face each other. They probably like to work themselves into establishing themselves as contenders and getting to title fights. But these two undefeated American heavyweights are going to meet on NBC Sports Network. Again, that's a Thursday night. It's at West Point. I love how the fight has come together. I got some emails out there trying to talk to somebody around that fight. I think that's a phenomenal fight for boxing and for for U.S. heavyweights. But check this out. It's a quick story. I just noticed this week. They got this new thing on Instagram right now. Some of these fighters are signing up for this service. I'm not even gonna say the name of it, but it's for merchandise, and then it's also like to go directly to your fans with interviews and whatnot. So this new thing that just popped up, some of these fighters are signing up for. What's good, KO? I didn't even see you out there, bro. Like sometimes this shit don't show all the anyway, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to not acknowledge you. But so some fighters are signing up for this thing, and they get like a profile, and you go to this website and you can buy their merch. That's good for them. But where the thing get a little bullshit for me, you pay money to ask them questions, and then they make a response video to your question. I'm like, man, what the? So basically, I mean, that's not good for guys like me if I'm trying to get different guests on and whatnot. And a dude is like, why would I talk with you when I can go over here on my platform and I'm getting $30 to make a response video, and any boxing fan can just ask me a question. So that bugged me out. And I've had Big Shot Stephen Shaw on the show before. He's done a couple live streams with me and whatnot. Now I can't get a text message responded to. Now that you got a great fight coming up and I want to holler at you, you're like, nah, I'm over here on my audio only fan shit, and I just answer random questions. My thing is just, who in their right mind is gonna pay you $30 to answer my stupid ass question? Well, they might not know that their question is stupid, but who the fuck is paying $30 for someone? Like, how? Some things are you want to customize the jersey, Cavaliers jersey, Detroit Pistons jersey, some shit is customized, is worth it. Or I see the sense of the value in it. But I'm gonna pay you $30 to say your wood. And then when I started thinking through it, what if you don't get an answer what if they give you some bullshit answer? You ask them about their next fight, pay your $30. What are you gonna do in your next fight, champ? And the dude says, you gotta tune in Saturday night. The fuck I spent $30 on. You got to tune in. Bro, I was going to tune in anyway. So that's, for me, like, you can get that off once, maybe one desperate ass person ask you a question and you get your $30. And then the next 10 people sit back like, man, I just wait till you do it. I just wait till you do your post-fight interview. Tune in. And this was that's the funny thing, man. Like, even what I do, you ask some of these, and I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. You ask some fighters some different questions, man. They don't even want to answer this shit. They don't have no real answer, man. I just want to fight and get paid. All this other shit, not all of them want to do that. If you got a guy who's really like, a lot of these guys don't even watch this shit. A lot of people in boxing don't even watch boxing the way that we watch boxing. You think a lot of fighters was sitting around watching boxing for 8 hours yesterday? I just learned that the other day. I had a trainer on here from Philadelphia. The video's out there, but I asked him about Keyshawn Davis. I'm crazy about, relatively speaking, I'm big on Keyshawn Davis. I'm like, yo, did you see the kid? What do you think about the kid? He was like, Brian, I don't even know who you talking about. I'm like, oh shit, so, but $30, man. If you go on Instagram, you can see a couple of these cats who signed up for this service, and that's, one-stop shop. Buy you a t-shirt, pay $30. T-shirt $25 or $29.99. Ask your question for $30 and wait to get your video from one of these dudes. Whatever. That shit was crazy to me, but that's just me. Where was I at, man? Jagba takes out Brian Howard. I really thought Howard was going to do a lot more. I'm going to go back and watch that fight because I just saw the end of it, which was a big end. I just talked about Jared Anderson and Jeremiah Carpensy. To go in there, avoid getting cut, not take any big shots, work on a couple of different things. He was able to control Carpensy. He was poised. His jab is just ridiculous. It just controls the action for him. It lets him work on other things off of it. And then Carpensy was just like, bruh, this shit ain't worth it, bro. I'm done with this shit. It was like the Buckeyes against the Nittany Lions the last couple of years. It was really no competition whatsoever. But the Carpensy family is 3 brothers. I think it was smart for him, man, not to continue. Trey Lippy and Jason Bergman, also out of, actually, I guess he's a neighbor of the Carpensies. Bergman was doing too much. I'm thinking about reaching out to Bergman. They said he was like an electrician or some shit. But I like that he tried to have fun in his moment. He should have got that knockdown from, what was that, a left hook? I think it was a left hook. Very quickly, we saw that Trey Lippy Morrison at 16-0, like it's Fugazi. Like he's really not that great of a fighter. He was getting hit with Bergman's left hand because Bergman was there to get knocked out, right? But once Bergman starts touching this man and seeing like Lippy isn't what his record indicates he is, like Bergman tried to get in his bag. He was waving off, you mollywopping shit. He was just trying to do way too much than what he was supposed to be doing. And then after he gets the knockdown in whatever round that was, we'll just go 3. It's probably in the second round. I've never seen anybody just stop fighting and just go argue with the ref. Like that knockdown meant that's Bergman's whole career. That's his whole career right there. Bergman was 27-19-2. I knocked down an undefeated fighter on ESPN Plus, and you don't give me my knockdown? I didn't see he's been knocked out 19 times. Like he's usually, I'm assuming he has a couple knockouts in his career, but yeah, he was like, man, he called him a MF and someone, and got in his ass. I was bugged out on that. But at the same time, he should have been jumping on Lippy. Lippy might not have had his legs underneath him. Maybe he really could have got the stoppage. He did hurt him later on that round. He rocked him again and made Lippy box up. Lippy didn't have any jab. He just tried to come forward, just throwing big shots. They were wide shots. He really wasn't all that great of a fighter. But again, anybody that that climbs up them steps with no headgear and goes in there to fight. I got to tip my cap off to him, but I think I know he doesn't use Morrison's name. His father was Tommy Morrison, but he doesn't use his name for notoriety and whatnot and to advance his boxing career. But I think with the way that he looked last night, you probably don't have the opportunity to do much, to be much of a draw outside of Oklahoma or whatever. Bergman, in the third round, he trips over it. He gets this big, heavy set guy, bulky up top, smaller legs. And then I think Ward said the boxing mat, what did he say? The turf troll, turf monster. He said the boxing mat monster jumped up and tripped up Bergman. I was glad he didn't tear his knee up, man. Real talk for him. I was glad that he didn't tear his knee up. At first, the way that he went down in real time, I thought maybe he tore his knee up, and I didn't want to see the dude go out like that. So just when they brought it back on the replay and showed it was ankle, I was like, okay, man, you had your moment. You styled on him a little bit. You might have even been able to pull that one out, but you ran into some misfortune. Albert Bell and Manuel Ray Rojas. Bell hurt Rojas in the first round, and then it just became, what Bell does. I mean, it's fighting for 8 rounds. He's not a really heavy-handed fighter. Didn't hurt Rojas much the rest of the way. He really seemed to get, a little pissed off at the end of the fight and was trying to land some heavy shots on Rojas. Rojas didn't show me a whole lot. It was a good win for Albert Bell. He stays undefeated. He's at 130. It's a lot of bodies between 130 and 135. And as an Ohioan, he's also out of Toledo. I'm glad that he stays in the mix. And, they almost made the fight with Bell and Gabriel Flores Jr. I would have loved that fight, man. I would have loved that opportunity for Bell, but I think wisely Flores went in another direction. But I don't know if Bell fights down to his opponents or what, but good for him to get consistent work. Super featherweight Roberson Conceição against Jesus Ahumada. Another good fight. A good fight. Duke Reagan against Charles Clark. Again, these are Ohio guys. Duke Reagan out of Cincinnati, featherweight. Reagan is almost where what's his name was, Shakur Stevenson. Out of USA Boxing and an amateur and everything, it's a lot of eyes on Reagan. And like Andre Ward said, there's already some different criticisms of what he is or what he isn't, or what the ceiling is and whatnot. He's with K. Karama. He moves to 4-0, no knockdowns, I don't think, against Charles Clark. He boxes well, has a lot of good qualities about him. One thing, some of these guys that are fighting on, with all of these different platforms, and we get to see all these young fighters in these developmental stages. And we want, for those interested in picking apart these guys, and because I remember it was some reputable dudes, it was some popular YouTubers, it was some popular boxing podcasts who were saying what Shakur Stevenson was it. Shakur Stevenson was 7-0, 8-0, 9-0, and it was this kid. It'll never. And I'm like, how the fuck you know? Okay, so you went to a gym 2 times. Oh, what the fuck do you know? And it was all of this talk about Stevenson, and now Stevenson is, 3-4 fights later, Stevenson is like the future pound for pound guy. So for Reagan, I mean, he means something to me because I'm here in Ohio, so I'm keeping an eye on him. I don't know, man. Charles Clark didn't do. I mean, I hate when fighters go in there and don't throw a punch and just talk trash, but don't let their hands go at all. But anyway, Reagan picks up the victory. I like how he stayed composed with a guy who was really just trying to do some bullshit, to make a fight. After the fight, the Clark brothers, Charles, I believe that was his brother who was his cornerman, they walked over there and say, man, we just had to do what we had to do. Nothing personal, yada, yada, yada. whatever. Good win for him. Jeremiah Milton, heavyweight out of Oklahoma, training out of Las Vegas. Weird fight. I never seen this before.
Working on it and putting it into effect. It's different. Big right hand, and he's laying on the ropes. Javon Daphne, and the fight is over. Wow, what a right hand.
I think that's going to be the story tonight, Bernardo. Right hands. Right hand's going to be the story tonight, even in our main event.
Take a ball.
The ropes held right hand.
Yeah, both these fighters are throwing heavy bombs, but Milton's got there at the right time and in the right place, and he literally froze Daphne. Like Daphne was not in the same building, the same state, or the same city that we're in.
Shout out to Jeremiah Milton. He moves to 3-0. That's probably his third knockout. Javon Daphne, we didn't know who Daphne was before the fight. He was just 2-2 himself. Really raw looking guy. I know Milton from a mutual, a contact of mine. So that's why I was watching Milton. He fought on the on UFC Fight Pass. They had a Salida Promotions card on there during the pandemic. I think he might have had his debut fight on that card. I want to say Vladimir Shishkin might have been in the main event on that one, super middleweight. But Milton is just coming along. It's a great knockout for him. Like I said, to have a truly unique ending to that fight. I've never seen a guy kind of like he said, like frozen in his body. Like it was weird.
Working on it and putting it into effect. It's different. Big right hand, and he's laying on the ropes. Javon Daphne, and the fight is over. Wow, what a right hand.
Shout out to Milton, and that's on the ESPN, or no, that's on Top Ranks. That's on Top Ranks Instagram page. Shout out to Milton for having that control, man, not to hit a guy who was out of it on his feet. Like I've never seen it like that, a fighter like that before. Also, man, big shout out to Alex, isn't it Salcedo? Alex Salcedo, yeah.
With all your
bringing him up there to have that conversation during the fight. Hopefully people were a little tolerable of that moment. It is a bit weird to come on, and I guess it was a way to allow him as a good warrior, as a solid boxing warrior, to come on and have his final say about his career. And I know in sports, man, when guys get injured, they're like a pariah or something, or the other guys who are still playing, they avoid them because they don't want to be reminded of their own mortality or whatever. Some people are probably what do they call it? Superstitious, but I think it was good to come on here and kind of talk about and remind people of the sacrifices that these guys have, that they make in doing this just to entertain us, and why we should be more respectful. This man lost his career because of a headbutt, and like he said, all he knows is fighting. So I thought it was a bit of a weird segment because we're all sitting here watching these big heavyweights knock each other's heads off, and it's in the middle of this boxing card and everything, and to have this 7 to 10 minutes sit down and have him explain and walk us all through that and what he's doing now. That's different. Remember, I haven't seen an update on Pritchard Colon from the PBC in a long time, man, but that was a kid who seemed to be on the cusp of being able to go on and do XYZ in his life and be a young fighter and a successful fighter. And just after that bad fight with Terrell Williams, I believe, now it's the total opposite. And so that was an interesting moment. Moving on to the last one before I get out of here. I've been talking about this dude for a while now and asking where the hell was he in Philadelphia heavyweight Sonny Canto. Another highlight reel moment for him. That was one thing with the heavyweights. We didn't get to see a whole lot of all of them that were on here because I believe they all ended in the first round. But shout out to Sonny Canto stepping back onto the scene. I didn't realize that he'd had an injury. He'd been scheduled for a couple of appearances, I think. He didn't fight at all in 2020. And like I said, with Big Baby Anderson raising his profile the way that he was able to do during the pandemic, I thought, why is Sonny Canto sidelined like this? Why isn't he taking advantage of this? I didn't know if it was some managerial stuff, promotional stuff, whatever. But he came back on to the scene and took on Waldo Cortez. I thought this was going to be a pretty decent fight. And then Sonny Canto had some different plans. I'm trying to see. This one ain't playing right. Let me bring that back.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's it.
So big, Sonny Canto storms back into the mix with the big knockdown first round over Waldo Cortez. Like I said, I've been wondering where he was. Good to see him come back and have that whole throwaway left hook or that flash left jab to set up the right hand. Like I said, all of these guys did that yesterday. That's how Jeremiah Milton got his knockout. I guess, I think Anderson, he went to the body with the right hook on his, but Ajagba, he threw that throwaway left hand to set up the right hand and dropped Howard. That was a pretty popular sequence to finish the fights yesterday. So, the ESPN Plus card, it was decent, but like I said, I got to go back and watch the Joe Smith and Vlasov fight. I was just keeping an eye on that one as we got to as the Showtime card started. So with that said, let's jump into the Showtime card right now so I can get on off of here. I don't know why I waited an hour plus to talk about the Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Weekend, but it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that it's I need a producer or an intern or some shit. I can't get my wife down here to do this shit for me. So everything can be synced up perfectly and have some great synergy here with it. But let's the Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Weekend. What's going on here? See? There we go. What is going on here?
Less than a minute left in the first half of this 12-round affair, and Darwin with the left-hand drops.
Well, you heard it. But that's basically it, man. That's the Bite Down. Has anyone heard anything?
I definitely think I'm ready for, top.
My bad. Has anyone heard anything about Daniel Dubois, or is he still hiding from Slow Joyce? Actually, Jamil, from what I understood, man, he's in camp. He went and got a new trainer, from what I saw. And is back in the gym at least, and was kind of like shaking off the cobwebs and whatnot, or shaking off the rust and just getting back to work. But I believe he went and got a new team. I thought it was suspect how he was kind of, I don't know, man. Like, we look at some of these different fighters across the world. We don't really. Not all of these guys are cornered by reputable trainers or big time trainers or world renowned trainers. Shields might be a good. I forget who he's with, but I think it was a decent name. I have to look into that. But yeah, some of these guys, they come up, they stick with whoever they had in the amateurs, and it works out for some guys. It doesn't work out for others, and I didn't like especially with the UK fighters. I really don't know much about a lot of those trainers. And I didn't really think his corner was doing him a service during that fight, to be honest. So yeah, but he's back at it, man. He's back at it. I don't think there's any timetable for his return to the ring, but he's definitely back at it. But yeah, man, let's Jaron Ennis. Oh, shout out to Evan Holyfield. He moved to 6-0. He was in Uncas, Connecticut last night and moved to 6-0 against Nicholas Compton. I want to say Cincinnati, like Coach Mike Stafford might have been in his corner. I might have to look into that, see what's going on. But shout out to young Evan Holyfield. Starting at the top, man, with Jaron Ennis. You know, I've been in a couple of press conferences with Lipinets. He was saying all of the right things. I just think his weaknesses, some things that we saw in the against Custio Clayton. The fact that he got dropped and he got beat up pretty well by Mikey Garcia. I really didn't like Lipinets as a welterweight anyway, but I mean, he's a kickboxer. But he won a world title though, so he was what he was supposed to be. But again, in this particular matchup right here, man, we knew what it was. I saw some people talking about Lipinets getting to the fight or taking Ennis into deep waters and taking him late and maybe hurting him. And really? You think he's going to be around late? Some of these, and this is a dude who does like some, like he's in some of these groups that like determine rankings amongst fighters and whatnot. He really thought, like, I guess he's not a big believer in Jaron, and that's totally fine. If you don't think Jaron Ennis is whatever, but when you say that Lipinets was going to take him into deep water and possibly drown him, I didn't see that. We just would have had to agree to disagree. But I said this earlier in the week about Jaron Ennis. The one thing that he showed us against Juan Carlos Abreu was that, like, he can be nasty. Like, he can be a dog too. Like, and that's the thing. We're not seeing much of the show of the showmanship and none of that stuff. Like, right now, we see a dude that's on a mission. He did take some big shots from Lipinets. He did take, he caught a right hand from him that damn, but I just saw a dude with a hell of a chin though. And when you have that excellent offense, it's always great to have a great beard on you as well. And what can I say, man? I mean, not everybody is in there to not get hit. Not everybody is in there to look pretty. Not every fighter is in there to box and get a decision and be safe. I used to play Call of Duty a lot, and there was people who did the run and gun thing and ran around and shot, and mixed it up a lot, whatever. And then the dudes like me who would get into a structure and try to set up a perimeter and like watch a couple doorways and do some different things. They used to call you a camper, and they be complaining in between rounds. Damn campers, you campers. Oh, you in here camping? I forgot what the hell I was talking about. But no, but seriously, like, it's different ways to engage. It's different ways to fight. And I would do my camp thing until I got a certain number of kills in a row or got the UAV thing or whatever. I managed my rounds the way that I did. And I would get out and run and gun when I got certain weapons or whatever. But just to sit here and think that everything is going to be pretty for everybody, like, that doesn't seem to be a real concern for Jaron Ennis. Gary Antoine need to move up and fight Boots at some time. Everyone keep bringing up that he beat him in the amateurs. Antoine, I thought I thought he was a division or two below though. I think Boots, we're at an interesting point with Boots because now that you've proven yourself, you've taken down a former world champion, stopped him in what, 6 or 7? In the 6th round. And really Lipinets, we saw that the first knockdown was not an actual knockdown. We did see that. But Lipinets, he probably was gone maybe 2 rounds earlier, whatever, and was just in there. The hand speed, the height and reach advantages, 7-inch reach advantage. The way that Jerron was sitting down on his punches and whatnot, really looking to punish Lipinets. It was one, I don't know, maybe that was a 3rd round or something, but Goosen in the corner were looking at him like, damn, bro, we ain't got shit for you. We have no instructions for you, bro. Like, you just out here on your shield. But again, he landed some good shots. We learned a little something about Jerron Ennis's beard. And now it gets to a point like, where can Jerron go next? There's still some stuff that needs to be worked out with whatever is going on with him and Cameron Duncan. You saw this fight was like co-promoted by D&D Promotions. I don't know. I don't have a 411 on all of that. We know that we can't get Spence and Crawford. We probably, Boots probably, and all in all, he probably doesn't face either one. He probably doesn't get either one of those guys in the ring. So I guess like that's what my question becomes for Boots is, what can they do for him next that is still trending in an upward, trending upward versus another lateral type of fight. But all he can really do is march his way up the rankings and get into an eliminator situation or become somebody's mandatory. That's really all he can really do. Over the next year and a half. Again, I know we want to see some of these young guys face off with one another, but just if you look at managing a fighter's career and maximizing a fighter's earnings and being fiscally responsible for this talent, it's some smart matchmaking that comes into play. And I think for Antonio, I think he's in a different weight division right now, man. I think some of these guys, like Antonio's a little too far behind Boots, in my opinion, for that to be that's not a priority for Boots. You know what I mean? I mean, that's nothing to be sold, right? Like, I think whether it's Antoine or Antonio, that cat needs to get his profile right and create some demand for that fight. Like right now, nobody is concerned about Boots, whatever happened in the amateurs for him, or he didn't this, or he wasn't Olympic alternate or whatever. None of that is really relevant for him right now, with all due respect. I mean, he's trying to get a world title shot or, a very lucrative fight of some kind. Again, I don't even think him and Virgil Ortiz, I don't even really want to see that right now. I would like to see those guys maybe as ideally as champions for some kind of unification fight or something. I know one of them fight at 140, but it could be a future fight. Oh, yeah. But I think Russell has to get busy making that an objective or something that's marketable. Like, that's nowhere near, in comparison, that's nowhere near as big of a storyline as the history there between Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields. And that's because Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall are now both world champions, and there's you don't have to manufacture any buzz for that. Right now, like I said, Boots is just like, let me get in there with Spence or you guys or Crawford. That's what he's on. So I think Russell has to get busy getting himself into position for that to be a thing. So anyway, man, that's the Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Weekend. Jerron Boots Ennis. I thought Eimantas Stanionis and Thomas Dulorme was an excellent freaking fight, man. Dulorme impressed me. Just what I saw him against Jesse Vargas in Chicago it wasn't a lackluster night for him, but I mean, it was a real fight. It was back and forth. Him and Jamal James, his performance against James was very disappointing for me. But he came in last night just boxing beautifully, man. I mean, just his fitness was pretty good. The use of the jab, working up and down, constant, focusing on the body work, really trying to get his young fighter, really trying to live up to his words that they made a mistake with matching him against him. I thought he was on fire the first 2 or 3 rounds. And then on the other side, man, shout out to Stanionis. I thought he stuck with it. Again, they kept saying, well, he's not cutting off the ring. He can't cut off the ring. Like, you're just not going to improve in your foot speed or your agility. That shit ain't going to get better in the middle of a fight just because you need to get better. Like, it didn't work out for Sergey Lipinets. He wasn't going to be a better boxer because he needed to be a better boxer in order to compete with Ennis. He had to work with what he had to work with. Same thing with Stanionis. Like, he was not going to be able to he wasn't going to be able to cut off the ring against Dulorme. Dulorme came into that ring well prepared to execute an excellent game plan for him, and Stanionis just had to stick to his game plan and not get away from what his strengths were. He took some good shots, showed me that he has a good chin. The jab was nice. The left hook was solid. Later, and I thought, you get to a point early on, Dulorme might have had the hand speed advantage and whatnot, but you get here and try to fight the other fighters' fight and put yourself at risk. I like that he just bought some time, stayed on what he was on and what works for him. Maybe he gave the first 2 or 3 rounds away if you want to go along with Steve Farhood or whoever else, but it's a 12-round fight. It's a 12-round fight, and you have to be able to assess the situation and adjust and make adjustments, adapt, and that's boxing. Shit happens. Shit doesn't go your way. You got to figure things out. You got to manage things. So I thought this was a phenomenal fight, man. I might watch this fight again. No knockdowns. He staggered. He staggered Dulorme here and there. Once Dulorme did slow down a little bit, he sensed that. I thought he sat down on his punches a little bit more. He started letting some combinations go. Like, why would you bother throwing combinations when by the time you get to your second and third punch, the dude is gone already? Again, you are what you are, and you got to figure out how to make what you are work in the middle of it. That's boxing. So I thought Stanionis fought a good fight, showed that he was tough. He didn't panic in the face of adversity. He didn't go out there and expose himself or leave himself open to something and mess his career up. He stuck to what he can do, and when what he can do became more effective, he started doing more of it and took over, control of the second half of the fight. I thought there maybe in the 9th or 10th, somewhere in the 11th or whatever. I thought he really opened up, and he landed like 3 or 4 uppercuts or something in that 9th or 10th round.
Some very good work over those first 6 rounds, ripping the body and landing the right hands. And remember, Dulorme did fantastic work downstairs. Then Stanionis started to close the distance on Dulorme, and that's when the left hooks and the right hand started landing. And there's the jab, which he landed continually in this fight, Stanionis. And that's
Bernstein last night. I thought that was a good fight, man. Honestly, I can't say that I learned that it was a better fight or a better performance than Boots Ennis, but with both of those guys being welterweights and possibly opponents down the road or maybe in a title eliminator, I like what I saw from Stanionis, man. I thought that and like what I saw the last couple of weeks from Virgil Ortiz. The Jesus Ramos kid is out there. Looks like he'll be staying at welterweight. I thought that was a good card, man. Getting over to, so he goes on to win it. Stanionis. I know I had the score written down. I don't think they had the damn scorecards on here. That's weird. Anyway. Guess I got to move on. Ancajas and Jonathan Rodriguez, man. I just thought that was a good fight. Obviously, it's a different level. Ancajas is a different level from what we saw with the two kings in that division with Juan Francisco Estrada and Chocolatito Gonzalez. But Ancajas is the IBF champion. Francisco Estrada right now is the WBC franchise and the WBA champion. So like I said, Ancajas over here with the IBF title. Like I said, man, Jonathan, right? It just very physical fights last night on Showtime, man. I mean, just if you like boxing, if you like punishment, if you like fighting, stand up fighting. I just thought all 3 fights were excellent, man. Like I said, Ancajas didn't move the needle with him against, like I said, Juan Francisco Estrada and Chocolatito, maybe even Sor Rungvisai. But those guys are tied up with that 4-man WBC thing that they put together, trying to force the trilogy between Estrada and Chocolatito. But the toughness displayed by Jonathan Rodriguez. Again, man, I'm looking at some of these fights like down the road. The next time that I see Jonathan Rodriguez's name, I know what I'm tuning in for. I did not know who he was earlier in the week. I know who Ancajas is. We'll see what happens with him moving forward. I just thought this was it was an entertaining fight, man. Again, sometimes you got to shut the hell up, sit back, and just enjoy a good fight, and maybe learn something about another division. Again, wasting your damn time talking about Crawford is afraid of Errol Spence Jr. or what ratio they need to, or who needs to accept what. That shit ain't none of your business. Sometimes just sit down and watch another fight and look at the the tactic or the technique, look at the strengths, the skills of these different fighters, and maybe learn there's other areas of boxing to hold you over into the fight that you want to see can get made. Maybe that's the way to go about that. Anyway, man, excellent day of fighting in my opinion, man. I enjoyed most of it. We'll see what happens next with Savannah Marshall. See what goes on, whether or not I haven't checked online the last hour plus to see if Claressa has responded anymore, especially once people get to tweeting different shit and different different discussions start online. She doesn't mind mixing it up, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. What's next for Jaron Ennis? Lots of options there, but definitely with welterweight, so difficult to get anything done. You know, what can he, it's probably something, you know, some kind of not stay busy, but who the hell's gonna get in there? I was thinking before that Jamal James would have been a good fight, but Jamal James is probably like, man, don't call me. Shit, I'm waiting on a title shot myself. What was he like? The gold or interim WBO or something, or maybe that was WBA. I ain't fighting him. I'm trying to get it to a title fight. So we'll see what happens there. I'm gonna go back and check out the Joe Smith Jr. and Vlasov fight. Get some eyes on that. I'll go back and check out the first 2 rounds of Howard and Ajagba. And then I'm gonna go see the first round of Ben and Vargas. I think it was WBA when he fought Dulorme. Yeah, that makes sense because the PBC doesn't really do a whole lot with the WBO. It was WBA. So what was that like? Whatever. Shit. After an hour and 40 minutes, I'm gonna get off of here. Hey man, I appreciate you rocking with me, Jamil. Checking back in a couple of times, bro. Thanks 3,000%. I ain't even really look ahead to next week. I know ESPN has a card. Was there something on DAZN? Might be on DAZN and ESPN next week. Usually I would look ahead, but I didn't. Anyway, man, don't look like I can get out here and do nothing with my yard. I still see some water up there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the action, man. Sometimes you gotta take what you can get and run with that. And like I said, man, I thought it was a lot of good action yesterday. Whatever. I'm just constantly repeating myself at this point in time. So, man, let me let you get to your weekend. Again, appreciate everybody that checked in. I hope some people hit the like button. You know, anybody catching this after the fact, you know, do me a favor and consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. Did nobody want to take advantage of the opportunity to call in and talk your shit? Nah, we'll get there. I'm out. Fight Down Boxing, don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. 1.